Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today for another fun project. So with spring and summer just around the corner, we're all getting ready to enjoy our gardens and our flowers. So for today's project, I wanted to just paint a jar or a vase full of snapdragons, several long stems of snapdragons. So for my materials list, it's pretty simple. I have my watercolor paper, my paints, some clean water. This is a number 6 round brush, and then of course I have a paper towel for blotting my brush. And I don't know if you can see it in the video, but real lightly I have drawn a vase or a jar, and then I have 7 stems coming out of it, and I did real light lines, and that basically is just to give me an idea of placement as I'm going along. And so we'll get started on this. But before we get started, I would like to ask you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And then also just a fun fact about snapdragons. Legend has it that snapdragon, the flowers, they provide endless youth and beauty to any woman who consumes them. So I don't know how true that is, but I thought I'd share it with you. So for all of my colors, I'm actually mixing them with the Chinese white just to soften the colors, the palette a little bit. And I'll start with the center flower, and I'm starting down a little bit lower. And I am using some nice soft pinks on this one. And so I just kind of am, putting in some little blobs, going down some just little gobs, I guess, or blobs of color as I go down. And up towards the top, I will be putting in some green because the buds will be just be opening up there. So I'm just kind of dabbing in some of the pinks on this one. And I'm being very loose with it, as you can see, and a couple little dots here and there for the little blossoms hanging out. All right, and I want to mix up just a little bit more here. And then I do keep quite a bit of water on my brush along with the paint, and I do want this to be fairly light because I will be going back over it and adding just a little bit darker of color. Once these dry, I'll be adding a little bit of color to give each of the flowers some depth. And I didn't really want them to be blending in colors. I want the layered look. So you can see, well, and that's still just a little too damp, so I'm going to hold off on that one for now. So I'm going to slip over here to some oranges, and I'll grab, there again, very little paint on the brush with a lot of water. And let's get just a little bit more on there. I want just a little bit lighter. And so we can start off, with start off smaller, and then we can get just a little bit wider as we get down towards the bottom of these. And we're just kind of dabbing in color. And then, as I mentioned, the layering effect with the various shades. And then we'll be painting in some stems. Okay, so you can see that this is some different shades on this, which that's really nice. That's kind of what we're looking for. And gonna mix up just a little bit more of this so I can do another stem of these. I think I'll put this right over here. And you can see I'm just kind of touching in, the different, just different dabs of the paint. Then I'm going to clean my brush out a little bit. So for the first stem that I had done, I'm going to go in with a little bit darker towards the base of each one of the, well, once it's done, it's going to appear that these are at the base of each one of the little blooms going up the stem of the snapdragons. I actually was lucky enough to pick up a couple of bunches of snapdragons at our local farmers market a couple weeks ago, and they are so pretty. So pretty and bright, and they do last for quite a while. So now I'm just kind of adding in a little bit more color to my orange. And I'm mixing up a couple different colors here just because I want to be a little bit darker and brighter to give it a couple different tones, you know, throughout. So we're going to do the same here. And you can see how loose and easy this is. I'm just dabbing in colors and just having fun with it. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of this purple to add a little bit of depth to these over here. And we do try and keep the darker colors close to the inside of the stem. All right, so I have 3 more stems here. I don't know, you know, as I mentioned before, I'm not sure if you can actually see those, but there's a couple over here and then one over here. So now I'm going to do something a little more reddish on this one, or pinkish reddish. I guess you're never really sure what color is going to be more pronounced on these sometimes. Okay, so we're just kind of going down on that one. Now I do want to add a couple yellow stems of flowers going up. The yellow, I think yellow in a design like this is really important because it does, you know, just make it so bright and cheery, and it makes it pop. Okay, I want these to be just a little bit lighter, only because I'll be adding a couple more layers to make it darker. And with this yellow, I did add just a hint of brown to kind of tone it down just a bit. You can see as I do each stem, I'm kind of getting a little bit looser and quicker. All right, so those, we want to let those dry a little bit so that we can add a couple more layers of color. So while that's drying, I'm going to just very lightly take some blue. This is a ultramarine blue. And with very little color on my brush by a lot of water, I'm just kind of going down the side. I want to give the appearance of the water, and I'm just kind of filling this in now. I don't want to do too much because I'm going to be putting stems from the flowers down into the vase itself. Okay, so while we're kind of waiting for that to dry a little bit, I'm going to mix up some of my green. Couple different shades of green. There's a sap green and a hooker's green, and then I'm also going to add in just a little bit of indigo, just to give it a deeper color. And so towards the tops of these, we kind of want to now bring these up a little bit. I'm trying to do this so that I don't get my hand in the way so you can see what I'm doing. So up here we're going to pretty much do the same thing. I'm going to take a little bit of paint off my brush because I do want it to look like just little buds are starting to come out at the top. And for this, we do want quite a bit of water on our brush because we want the nice soft look is what we're aiming for with this. And we always want a bud right up at the top and some coming down. And then we'll be adding a little bit of color to these as well. They aren't going to be just solid green like this. When we start adding in other colors to layer going down the stem, we'll put a little bit of color here too. And you know, as I mentioned, this is just a very loose painting. There's no distinct lines or anything. And those are still a little too wet to try and be adding some stems to them. Let's see how this one works. So I'm just kind of going down through. Now this one is dry enough that I can do it, you know, and go down through and just add a little highlight of stem peeking out here and there. And then a couple little, you know, side strokes that indicate that the little stems are going out to the flower buds. And let's try this one again to see if maybe it's dried up a little, which it has, I think. Let me get just a little bit more paint on here. So then we want to bring these down. I want this to be just a little bit darker. Okay, so then to bring these down into the water. You can just kind of bring them down in. Let's add a few details on this one, I think, and here. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do is add just a little bit more green down towards the bottom, and this is basically just like a filler, you know, to make it look nice and full, which when they are clumped together in a vase, they are really nice and full, and the colors all blend together and they're just gorgeous. Okay, so we have the first layer done, and now I do want to go back through with some of these darker colors and just add a little emphasis. Get a little bit of that. There was a little too much on my brush. Okay, and then down towards the bottom, we want to be nice and thick and full. And then as we come up, and I'm just dabbing color in here and there, you know, to give it a little bit of depth. And then up towards the top, let me get just a little bit more paint on my brush, and we're just dabbing the tops of these green stems, or you know, the buds. I don't know what I want to call them. It's been a long day. Okay, and that's why I'm sitting here painting this. This is actually the evening, and that's why I'm doing it in the evening. It's such a great way to de-stress after a long day at my office job. This is what I do in the evenings. So kind of, and I just want to add a little bit more color in through there as well. I think I'll do that here also. We don't really want a whole lot of white space, you know, going down the stems, because the snapdragons, they really are a nice full flower. The stems are, you know, really full and very lush with color. And the blossoms, and I'm mixing up just a little bit more. of a darker color so that we can go up through here and add another layer of another dimension of color here. And then going down, we want to be nice and thick down towards the bottom. And then once again, we want to add just a little color to the new buds or blossoms towards the top. And so then over on this one, we're going to pretty much do the same. And you can see I'm just kind of tapping in a little bit of the darker orange to give it some depth and fill it in. And then we're going to do these ever so quickly. And add a few little dots here and there. Let me grab some more. I want to grab some of this darker color. It's a darker orange, and forgive me, I'm not even sure the name of this one right off the top of my head. And you can mix it up with whatever colors you want to use. You know, I say that in a lot of my floral paintings. Always just kind of choose a color palette that you really like, that speaks to you, and you know, go with that. They'll always turn out cute. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, I think. I do want to tap in just a couple wild little buds here and there. Oh, and I did miss that one. So let's grab just a little bit of this red and go down through here. See, this is really looking cute. Kind of makes you want to go out and buy some snapdragons, doesn't it? I know it's got me wanting to go to the farmer's market again this weekend. Okay, so I do have pretty much all of the stems of the snapdragons done, and now I'm going to go back to my blue. And for the water in the vase, you know, we're just going to kind of, with a lot of water on my brush, we're just kind of insinuating, or, you know, giving the perception of water in this jar. And then as we go down towards the bottom, we do want it to be just a little bit darker. Okay, and then I'm going to put in just some shading, a little bit of shading up towards the top of this jar. And then a couple of reflections, you know, from the light. Okay, so that really pretty much completes that. And now I am going to grab just a little bit of my indigo, and I'm going to do just a quick line across here to indicate a table. And this is just kind of very lightly with the side of my brush, and my brush is quite dry, so it's leaving, you know, the that rough look. Let's grab just a little bit more. Just gives it a little bit of shadow and depth to the vase of flowers. And as I go towards the end of the paper, I do get narrower with this. Okay. All right, so that is pretty much it. We have our 7 stems of the snapdragons, and as I mentioned earlier, you know, with the legend, any women who consume them, it does provide endless youth and beauty. So if any of you decide to give that a try, leave a quick comment below and let me know how it works out for you. And and on that note, if I could ask you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video, and also hit the bell, and that way you will be notified when I post new videos. And I do try and post at least 2 videos a week. And I'd love for you to come along, join me on my journey with each one of my quick little paintings, and we'll all have fun together. So until next time, ciao for now.